Here's a question most people never ask. If your home making you happier, or is it quietly draining you? Think about it. You spend more time in your home than anywhere else on earth. The colors on your walls, the way light moves through your rooms, the layout you navigate every single morning, all of it is shaping your mood, your energy, your relationships. And you probably never designed any of it on purpose. Today's guest believes that the most important investment you can make isn't the home itself, it's how that home is designed to make you feel. She went from styling fashion editorials and global retail displays to becoming one of South Florida's most sought after luxury interior designers. This is Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, and today we're exploring the sanctuary and soul of modern luxury design with Elizabeth Cinquini. My guest today sees homes the way most people see art, as living, breathing expressions of who you are. Elizabeth Cinquini is the founder and creative director of Elizabeth Cinquini Interiors, specializing in modern luxury design. Before she ever designed a home, Elizabeth spent years in fashion editorial and global retail design, traveling across Asia and the US, creating show-stopping commercial experiences for major brands. She brought that high-level storytelling into residential design over a decade ago. Today, she manages the full construction and design process from concept through completion, delivering spaces built around bold colors, patterns, and texture that feel timeless, not trendy. Her work has been featured in Hot Living and Florida Design, and she serves on the board of directors for the Collier Building Industry Foundation. Elizabeth, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
I'm excited to have you. I love interior design. This is so much fun. I'm also a contractor, so I love building stuff, and I love building healthy homes. That's one of my pet peeves, and I think you're going to nudge me in the right direction on today's show.
Yes, let's do it.
You standardized or started in fashion magazines and global retail design. How did that creative foundation shape your approach to modern luxury interiors today? And what skills from fashion translate directly to designing a home?
Well, it's all about creating environments, right? Whether you're designing stores or putting outfits together, you are creating who you are. And the visual of that is what people are going to, when people see you, they're automatically going to get an interpretation of you. So it's really about making connections, connecting with people, understanding what they want, what they need, what they like, and creating those environments. And the home is the most important place to do that.
I totally agree with you on that. You have a healthy home, you have a healthy life. What's the biggest difference between dressing a retail space and designing where someone lives?
Well, when you're working with a commercial space, you're thinking about multiple people, multiple clients, and how they walk through the space and what they need. When you're working on a home, you're dialing in directly to those specific clients. How does that family function? Who lives in the house? What is their main goals? Do they work from home? Do they love to entertain? Do they want an outdoor retreat? Like, you have to get real specific with exactly what they want, so it's more tailored.
Got you. You traveled across Asia and the US crafting show-stopping window displays. How do you translate that high-level commercial storytelling into a residential home? And when you walk into a home for the first time, what do you see that most people don't?
Well, when you walk into the home for the first time, the most important thing is the feeling you get when you walk in. For anyone that's visiting you or for the homeowner, like, do you feel relaxed? Do you feel calm? Do you feel at peace? Because that's the way you should feel. If you walk into your home and you feel chaotic, unorganized, overwhelmed, stressed out, we need to fix something in your home.
Anxiety. Ah!
Yeah.
Red walls. What are the...
Exactly. And that's different.
Black and red. Great choice, Yuri.
Red may calm someone else. So it's all dependent on the person.
Yeah, I know. I like the red walls with the giant swords on them for sure. It calms me.
There you
Oh,
go.
I see that in Asian styles a lot, by the way. Really
Yes.
bright red with the swords and the glyphs or whatever they call them, the writing symbols. I think it's a fashion statement for sure. Is there a specific project where your retail background gave you an edge?
Well, I think coming from a retail background really prepared me for this whole industry because it gave me such a broad experience with working with contractors and architects and different processes and permits because every country, every space, every, whether it's a mall or a shop and shop, there's all different restrictions. So you really learn how to work with people in all the different trades. And networking and being collaborative is such a huge part of what we do because creating a home, there's so many different layers to it, there's so many different people involved, and you need to know how to work with all different types of people to keep it running, organized, and keep people enjoying the process, because otherwise it can get very stressful and overwhelming for everyone, and we want it to be exciting, not stressful.
Yeah, of course. I agree. Can you take us into one project where that one specific one, where that retail lens changed everything?
Well, I do a lot of custom home building from scratch. And so, following a strict process and keeping everything organized, having drawings, following all the necessary steps. Like, I've been doing this for over 20 years. So building out that process to make everything feel seamless and simple. That's one thing I took from working in the corporate world. Sometimes in corporate, they overcomplicate things. So my superpower was really always simplifying and breaking it down and getting to the most important parts so the client never felt overwhelmed or stressed out.
I mean, the reason why I was asking for specifics is you're one of the number ones right now, correct? In Miami or that area, South Florida. I used to live down there. There are so many really cool homes. Do you work with one of those giant towers too, like Aria, et cetera, just for an example, where you design like lobbies and then the apartments in those too, like for the big builders? Because there are some fascinating places down there that I love.
There are, yeah, not yet. I haven't done a lobby or an apartment building yet, but I focus a lot on single family homes.
So you get to do like Millionaire Row and stuff like that, Sunny Isles, Golden Beach, and stuff. That is really
That's
cool.
the dream. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these people, or the people living down there, are so fashion driven and forward thinking, I think, in a lot of ways. It's incredible how you can change your inner well being by a good, calm design or something that,
Exactly.
works together. It's really cool. And I would love to have that in the homes that I will be building in the future, having that Zen feeling. And when a person walks through, like, I want to buy this home, like, can we just buy it the way it is? And then like, yeah, I can make that happen for you in your home. This is our model. You get what I'm saying?
And it has to showcase their personality too. It
Yeah.
has to be different. It has to be, a lot of Florida homes are very cookie cutter, a little bit generic. So I always want to push it further than that and really make it personal and fun and have personality rather than just, your white walls and everything is like super neutral.
Do you know, I've noticed a lot of people are imagination wise. Okay. I have a pretty good, solid understanding of imagination and how it works and how I can try to describe what I'm seeing in my head of a project,
Yeah.
But when I try to explain, it's like, say, I'll take my wife because she's the closest to me. She's like, can you give me a rendering? Like, can you show me a picture of it? I'm like, why can't you imagine it? Like, I could see this like this and that, like that, and there, that kind of light fixture over there. And I could see, the countertop, the cabinet, and how they go together and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And she's like, no, I need a picture of it, like, or a rendering. So when you do create a model home and you design it to be more neutral, for everybody's taste, but you still use a designer for that, it
Right.
makes them so much more understanding about what can be done with the space compared to when they just walk through an empty home, you know?
Exactly. We think about so many more details than, a homeowner would think of if they were designing their house by themselves. We cut down on a lot of the costly mistakes and like, why didn't I do that before? We pre-plan everything and we walk them through the steps. And so that's, to me, you should not be designing a home and building or renovating without a designer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a simple thing that my builder brought my attention to when I was building my home. Back then, I didn't have my GC license or anything like that. So he was like, well, do you want to hang your TVs? And I was like, yeah, I want to hang my TVs. Okay, so we need to put plywood behind your drywall. Wait, what height do you want to have the TV on? And that is just a small little tiny thing, but you can't do that after the fact, or you can, but it's going to look ugly. So
Right.
he told me about that, and it's just I'll just put some plywood behind the walls for you so you can hang your TV. I was like, awesome, man, thank you. Small stuff like that.
Yeah, and you have to know exactly where your furniture is going to be to have your
Yeah,
outlets in the right spot or your lighting. So all of those things need to come into play.
yeah. I mean, you could build like a home that will furnish and stay the way it's designed for a longer period of time, like they used to. Your firm celebrated over a decade in business. What was the exact catalyst that made you leave global brands and design for families? Was it a single moment or a gradual shift?
So I was working in New York City. That was where my headquarters were for my corporate job. And I was literally traveling all the time. I had a suitcase at the door, and every couple of weeks or days, I'd get on a plane and go somewhere else. And then I started to have my kids and realized that probably was not, a good situation anymore, just a different time of my life. And I was getting a little bit stressed out with the corporate environment because at the end of the day, I feel like they make things more complicated than they need to be. And one of the best things about the way I work is I can make everything super simple and cut down a lot of steps. And so I knew that if I started my own company, I would bring a much needed relief to the design industry. And it was based on contractors and clients asking me to work with them. So the demand was there for a different type of designer.
That definitely. I think that if you're building and designing at the same time, that's a really good combination to
Mm-hmm.
have. I usually do my own designs on my own stuff, and I show it to clients because I like, now that we have AI, it helps me a
Yeah.
lot. Otherwise, I would have to out hire it, tell them what I want to see on a picture, and it's hard. Usually, it doesn't translate the same way when you're
That's
explaining
right.
it in
Yeah.
somebody else's mind than when you're, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Mhm.
So it's good that you do both at the same time because it helps a lot. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
because now I'm putting what I see in my head on paper. So you brought this world-class creative eye into people's homes. Now let's talk about something you said that really stuck out with me: the psychology of space. Okay, here's the big one. How does the physical design and layout of a home directly affect a person's daily mood, energy, and overall happiness? Is there research behind this, or is it something you've observed firsthand? Tell me about it.
So it's definitely something I've experienced myself in creating my own, whether it's a home environment or even your office environment. If you don't feel happy and creative and productive and you're in a space that just kind of sucks the creativity out of you or makes you feel depressed, that is all connected to how you are going to feel in your life. And if you feel that way, then guess what? You're taking that out on other people. It's affecting your relationships with other people because you're not in a great mood. So your environments and your surroundings really do affect your entire life.
What's the most dramatic transformation you've seen in how a client feels after redesign?
Oh my God, they feel completely transformed because a lot of the times they're like, I could have never done this by myself. I could have never imagined this. And we're taking the stress off of their plate. We're walking them through the whole process. We're handling everything from design to concept to through the construction process to furnishing it, art on the walls, styling, completely done turnkey for them. So they never could have done that on their own. We're saving them time, money, stress, and that's priceless. They get their time back.
Can you talk to me specifically about the client's feelings from prior to after? the fact like he was feeling down, moody, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then, holy cow, the how he felt afterwards. Because that's what I think people want to hear is like, hey, it's like I had cancer before and cancer went away after. If
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, after the process, before the clients are stressed, they're not happy, and they don't know what direction to go. And then once the home is done and they see it come together and we do the final reveal and they walk in, they're ecstatic. They are so happy. They feel so comfortable in their space and they really see their personality coming through and it changes their life. And they're
Yep.
proud. They want to entertain. They want to invite people over. They spend more time at home.
That is a big thing,
Yeah.
especially in your neck of the woods, because it's
Yeah.
hard. You're always on the move down there. I lived down there for about 5, 6 years. And, yes, you spend a lot of time at home, but do you really? Is it just sleeping? Because you're
Well,
always on the move.
you are. I always say I'm either on a plane traveling somewhere else or I'm home enjoying my home because I've designed it to a point where it makes me so happy to be here. Creating a backyard that looks like a resort. So you have your own resort right on your property.
Oh, I love
That's,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. You design sanctuary worthy interiors for busy powerhouse professionals. How do you take the stress of home design entirely off their plate? What does your process look like from first conversation to move-in day?
So my first conversation with them is more of it's an in-person consultation, right? So that's where they're showing me some inspirational images and we're talking through who they are, how they live, what does the family look like, what are their needs, really getting down to the specifics. And, a lot of times it's multiple people in the house. So we're figuring out how to compromise and blend different styles together because you may have two partners or a husband and wife that have different ideas. So we do marriage counseling also in the process, but really getting everyone's needs met and coming up with the best possible design. So that's the initial consultation. And then we do an initial design concept for them with mood boards and some initial selections. We review it. And then from that point, we move on to the final design. And then once that is approved, then we start the execution process of ordering everything for them. So they just have to pick out what they like, say, yes, let's go. And then we handle all of the orders, the procurement, the deliveries. We deal with all of the vendors. So they don't have any of that on their plate. And then while the construction is happening, we are there to support the contractor. This way, when you guys have questions, they can ask the designers directly instead of asking the homeowners. And in most cases, the homeowners don't really know how to answer the questions anyway.
Oh, we love those architects that design houses, and then we look at the drawings and we're like, you can't build that, man. You get where I'm coming from. Okay, sometimes they put elements in there like, how did you think I'm going to bend the I-beam by 90 degrees on the job site?
I always tell clients you want to hire the interior designer before you bring your architect on board, before you've drawn any plans. We should be the first point of contact because even with a contractor, like if you bring on a contractor to estimate your whole project, but it hasn't been designed, and what are
It's
they
hard to
estimating?
estimate without drawings, like it's like, hey, I can't
Exactly.
give you an estimate without knowing what you really want. Because you might
Right.
want pull out drawers in every cabinet and you might want tile instead of LVP. And that takes
Yeah,
different time and different skills. So it costs different, or materials
exactly.
cost different. I need to know your material lists, before we can, submit a bid on anything. I always say that
Exactly.
it's good to have a contractor right from the beginning in your back
Yes.
pocket that you trust and know and maybe worked with or you heard from that can, run you through is like, hey, that might be hard to build, to be able to give you like an idea of this is the cost of everything, because let's say you're on a budget, you want to stay in a budget. If there's no
Right.
budget, it doesn't matter, because
Right.
you don't really need a contractor from the get-go if you don't have a budget. Then hire a contractor when you're ready with the drawings and the design and everything. But if you
Right.
have a budget in mind, good to have one so they can kind of point you in the direction of, hey, that's going to cost you about this, tile cost, $10 a square foot, let's just say something to lay and buy with a discounted budget, and LVP will cost you $6 a square foot. So there's a big difference, in price per square foot from going from one material to the next material. And those are things that you should, consult with your contractor about when you're, even if when you're doing the design stage, you tell your designers like, hey, this is my budget. My contractor said it costs him this much to do the labor part,
Right.
what would your cost be to buy the materials,
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
hand in hand, designer and contractor working together, if you get what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. But the client also needs to understand what they even want first.
yeah,
A lot of times they're
definitely.
not sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea usually. That comes to my next question. How do you manage clients who are used to controlling everything? Because those are the ones, that usually know everything and know better than the contractor, know better than the realtor, know better than the designer, know
Yeah.
better than you get where I'm coming from with that.
Well, sometimes there's a screening process and you can tell maybe certain clients might be a red flag
Yeah.
and maybe that it's not a good fit. So it kind of depends
Yeah.
on, the
Let's say
conversation.
they're like on the verge kind of client that is like, you can still talk to them. They're not like the full on empowering
Okay.
personality,
You're not the
but
nightmare.
they have like really stubborn mindset about things. And how would you sway them to go with a better design for them, even though they don't think it is?
Well,
That's
I always want to get to the root of why, whether it's a selection or an idea, getting to the root of, okay, why? Why do you want to pick that? Or why do you want to go with that? And then I like to talk it through with them to come up with the best answer.
I like that. Yeah, always ask a lot of questions. That's always helpful, and why this when this fits your style even a lot more, I get it.
Yeah, I always want them to make an informed decision, but I don't ever want the client to feel like I'm pushing what I want onto them. It always has to be their choice, but my role is to explain the options and guide them to the best solution for the result that they want.
Got you. And what's the crucial difference between a space that looks beautiful in a magazine and one that actually functions as a recharging sanctuary for a family? Can a home be both Instagram worthy and livable?
Oh, absolutely. It can be beautiful and functional. That's where the interior designer really melds those two things together, right? Because, sometimes a client will come with, photos that they got, maybe it's AI or whatever, but a lot of those pictures are not, like you said, they're not buildable. So we have to really break it down and be able to make it beautiful and functional. But that's different for every client based on their needs.
Yeah.
Like when we're designing a kitchen, that's going to function differently for each family based on, what they want.
Can you tell me about the difference between like a magazine one and a sanctuary style?
Well, to me, like a magazine worthy one might feel like, oh, it's beautiful, but I don't want to sit on that, or I would feel like it's too like formal, or they just don't feel like they could relax in that space. Whereas when you're creating a sanctuary, you feel like every space that you walk through, you just feel comfortable. Like, that you can sit there, or that whatever that table is, I can eat on that. I don't have to put a tablecloth on it. There's all the different elements like that have to be functional for your life.
Oh, for sure. And what do you see in magazine ready homes that would drive a family crazy? I have one for that capsule chair thing, by the way, that looks
Okay.
like a UFO egg of something
Yes.
that I've sat in before. And I was like, this is the most uncomfortable chair in the world. Who would put
Yes.
this in a house? But that's a magazine worthy chair.
And believe it or not, sofas are a huge option because a lot of them are not comfortable or they don't look comfortable. So you want to, like my husband, he loves to watch sports in the, on the couch, and it has to be comfortable and it has to hit at a certain height and it has to be a certain depth. So, there's so many different details that go into even one piece of furniture.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
if it's something that's not comfortable, you're not going to want to sit there.
I remember my wife picked our first love chair and sofa set. I think it was a rooms to go on, but it was one of their higher end leather, terracotta. It looked great.
Okay.
It was like, oh, this is perfect looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you try to like rest on it, lay down, it was like,
Yeah.
okay, the headrest is so low that I have to put my arm under my head,
Yeah.
You could lay on it.
It wasn't for lounging. It was more of a
Oh,
sitting sofa.
it was
So
just like
if you
sit
want
like
to
this, like
lounge,
straight, and that's it. And I was like, this
yeah.
is not a TV watching couch. This is more of a let's have a conversation kind of deal. Like I could put this in an office,
Exactly.
but I can't put this in a living room where we live and enjoy and try to relax and stuff like that. Also, I'm a big recliner kind of couch kind of person. I like my feet up and the TV straight in front of me. That didn't have that option, so I always had to put a table or something in front of me so I could put my feet up when I was watching TV. Well, that's something. Yeah, I definitely get where that's coming from in a design standpoint, and it is important. Like now we come into the point where how does that, let's say, couch works with the house building process? Do you need an outlet underneath that couch? A lot of times nowadays you do, because you charge your devices on the couch while it's there, or the recliner needs electricity or something like a built-in light to read books, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of home builders don't think about that. You have a big living room, like my living room per se. I used to have the couch back to the wall, but as I'm getting older, I've noticed that the TV's getting smaller. So I have to move the couch closer and closer to have a good view of the TV. My eyes get too tired if it's too far away. Let's say this, because I can still see it from far away. I just get tired from reading subtitles from, 3-4 feet further back. And we don't have an outlet in the middle of our living room. And we have tile floors. So if I wanted to get outlets, guess what I would need to do? Break up the tile floors and run wires into concrete and then retile, which then might or might not turn out the same way as it looked before. So I think that's an aspect when I'm changing out floors for people. I always ask them, would you like an outlet in the middle of your living room?
Yeah.
Because we can do it now that we're replacing your floors. And big houses need it. It's just so good to have one.
Exactly. Or even like where your TVs are. Sometimes people put them above a fireplace, and depending on where that fireplace is, they could be really high. And that's something I'm always very particular about. You don't want to be like, staring. Or even like you've seen in magazines where they have the sofas on the side of the TV. So the only way you can watch TV is if you're like this.
Oh, messes your neck up.
That's not comfortable for anybody.
Oh, no. You talk to my chiropractor, he would be like, that's a no-go. No, don't do that. That's going to mess up your spine in the long run. So,
So when you think about building a house, every single element in the house you have to give thought to.
Yeah.
Can't be an afterthought.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Okay, so the psychology is real. Your space matters. Now let's get practical for anyone building or renovating. You have a strong opinion on where to start. This is a bold claim. You say the interior designer should always be the very first hire before the contractor, before the architect. Why?
Yes.
What goes wrong when someone hires the contractor first?
So the interior designer should be the first hire because we are the one that's going to have those conversations with the client and get to know their family and their needs more in depth than the contractor or the architect will. That is our job. That is our role. And so by doing that, we can then have a clear game plan, roadmap, if you will, with the client of exactly what they want. What spaces do they need in the house? More of the specifics. And then from those conversations, okay, great. Now we're going to bring on a builder and we're going to get an architect. And based on what they want, there could be a different builder that's more suited for the style or the type of home that they want. So to me, the designer will eliminate a lot of wasted time, costly mistakes. Again, if you want to bring on a builder to estimate a renovation for you, what are they estimating for you if you don't have a designer with you to really work that out first? So it just cuts down a lot of the steps and a lot of the time.
No, I get it. I still think that hand in hand, working as with a person with a budget, it's hand in hand, I think would make sense. Designer and builder that knows what they're doing. Not every builder's built the same way to build specific houses. I know that we can accomplish a lot of the finesse kind of work that a lot of builders don't work on.
Right.
because, oh, that's tedious. We don't do that kind of stuff. We know how to do block, shingle roof,
Right.
drywall. We're good at that. But then there come in the specific, professionals that can do a really nice built-in fireplace,
Right. Custom
or
millwork and
custom millwork, etc. That, hey, now you're talking to a different category of builder. It's not
yeah,
your DR
exactly.
builder; it's more your elevated home builder that does unique homes that specifically work for that. Definitely agree on that. And if you're using a designer, you'll probably get a unique home builder more than
Yes.
likely than an average builder. How much money does the sequencing mistake actually cost homeowners?
I mean, it could cost them thousands, tens of thousands. It depends on you know, what it is, but they're definitely missing out on a lot if they don't have that initial even consultation with the designer first, just to get their thoughts in order of with a game plan of exactly what they want. Because if you start having an architect draw up plans for you, architectural plans are not cheap. So if you bring
They
on a
vary
designer
between 5
after,
and 15,000 for a regular sized home.
exactly. And I've had a project where an architect drew up plans and then based on, what the client determined after in the bathroom, they needed to change the location of where the drains were going to be or the plumbing. Now that has to get changed on the plans and changed through the permitting process as well.
So everybody gets involved.
Exactly.
Contractor doing extra work, which he will charge you for. The architect doing extra work, which he will charge you for.
Mhm.
So that adds
You
up.
got
So
to
how
get it approved. So now you're wasting time. You got to wait for the approval. But if we would have had that conversation in the beginning before the plan was drawn, you would have eliminated all the steps and all that money.
can you give me a specific number and what's the most expensive mistake you've seen because they hired, the wrong people first instead of going with a designer?
Oh my God. I've had a client who hired a plumber to run all their plumbing in their house and then they didn't shut the water properly. Someone turned it on, left for the weekend, and then Monday morning, their brand new house was completely flooded.
So that's hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistake
Yes.
right at that
And
point.
now months of, okay, we're on hold because now there's moisture, there's water, brand new hardwood floors.
Yeah.
So that's not only, 3 to 4 month delay, but hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. That's
And
a
that,
big mistake. So
yeah,
the hiring the wrong person in the sequence. From your
exactly.
experience navigating construction, what is the absolute biggest mistake homeowners make when building or renovating? Is it budget, timeline, scope creep?
Oh my God. I feel like it's all of those things. All of those things do come up,
What's the
but
biggest one?
definitely, I would say the biggest mistake that a homeowner will make is not hiring an interior designer for your renovation or your build. That's the number one mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, coming from an interior designer, that makes sense. It's like, hey, you should hire someone that knows how to put A and B together. By the way, as an interior designer, do you have architectural knowledge and building knowledge? I mean, I know
Yes.
you help with the building process. Not every interior designer is the same.
Right.
So some only work with furniture, you know?
Right.
So you need to
Exactly.
hire an interior designer that actually knows architecture and design and construction. So they're like, hey,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
like you have to know all three to be able to come up with the right ideas.
100%. And understanding building codes and, different things like that. And because I started in commercial design over 20 years ago, I basically started in this business with a foundation in both architecture and construction just because of the knowledge of working on global projects. So that has definitely helped me in my design career.
Got you. Beyond that, what's the mistake after they've already hired you? Can you like that you can correct?
I think being realistic with the budget,
Got you.
understanding what they want, okay, what that's going to cost you, especially now in the environment where we are, where the prices of everything have pretty much skyrocketed in the last 5 years. whether it's materials or services like labor, all of those things have gotten significantly more expensive. So being very realistic, renovating a kitchen now versus 5 years ago is more than doubled, right? Like you can't do a bathroom renovation for $20,000 anymore. I tell clients your minimum low ends for a full gut bathroom, you're in the 50,000 plus range.
Wow. Yeah.
With fixtures and labor and, everything.
Permitting and plumbing, moving.
Exactly.
I mean, we're up in my area, we could still get a smaller bathroom remodel done for about, between 9 and 12. But that's in our area.
With fixtures and labor?
Yeah.
Not from Home Depot? I'm talking like, like a mid to
maybe,
high level.
Some stuff are coming from Home Depot, I'm not saying like designer stuff. Okay. I'm talking about semi-updated bargain hunting for certain tiles and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's a cool looking tile and it's on sale. Let's get that one instead of
like floor and decor and
yes, correct. Floor and decor and stuff like that have some cool stuff that they put on sale and we can get our hands on. Material wise, it's about probably around five, six, and then the labor is about the same. Like usually it's 50-50 labor and materials. And I don't have a lot. Like I have 2-3 guys. Yeah, I usually have a plumber that works on a pan, plumbing, etc. And then I have my guy that does the tile install and the vanity and all that stuff, small plumbing, like hooking up the sink and stuff like that. So that comes out. Plumber's about $1,000 to $2,000 on a small bathroom, and then my guy's the rest basically. But this is like small, probably that's a 6x8 maybe. Okay. It's not a big bathroom.
Yeah.
Like a shower, a toilet, and a single vanity. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
In Florida, our rooms are big.
Yeah. Let's say that. Definitely not New York size, where you're like taking a shower on your toilet. So as an award judge and building foundation board member, what are the most critical communication breakdowns between builders and homeowners? Where does the relationship typically go sideways?
Communication is always, you got to be clear. There has to be an open line of communication. When there's not, that's when there's a breakdown. So whether it's budget, scope creep, a different direction that maybe you didn't tell the contractor, or, there's a permit that you need that you didn't want to get because you didn't want to file for a permit, like all these different kind of things. But communication, a lot of times clients may want to try to do a renovation, but maybe not get a permit. I mean, in Florida, you have to get permits. There's really no way around that here. So it's my job to really educate them to make the best decision.
It might prolong the completion of the job, but it does help in a lot of aspects. Number one, for a contractor, if we don't pull permits, we can't really put a lien on it. Simple as that.
Right.
If a homeowner says, well, I could do it without permits, he doesn't get the protection of a permit. Now, I agree with a lot of people that it's a money grab and they do permits so they can assess the property value the next year and raise your property taxes, which is now in discussion. If that gets eliminated on your primary residence, then it's not a conversation anymore. Just pull the permit.
Yeah.
But after that, it doesn't matter, Yeah. Right now, a lot of homeowners, especially in my area, it's not a super high income area, average home price is around $350,000, so people are like, oh, pulling a permit, but then my home price will go up and my taxes will go up. And it's not just, the cost of the build and the timeline of the build, it's also taxes. And that's what they're considering in their minds. It's like, hey, do I want to pay an extra $1,000 because I renovated my kitchen and my bathrooms?
Yeah.
Yearly for the rest of my life until I, die, or as long as I own this home.
Yeah.
Just because I did a renovation, I don't think that's fair to the homeowners, because the valuation or assessment of the home will go up, $50,000 to $100,000 with a nice renovation.
Right. I know. That's the unfortunate part about it is that, it's an excuse to raise the taxes.
Yeah. It's crazy because it shouldn't affect that.
No, it should
they should
absolutely.
not be able to raise your taxes because you're renovating your home.
Yeah.
There should be a block on that, some kind of shape or form, that just because you pull a permit and you do a renovation on your home, we cannot raise your taxes because of that. If the
Yeah.
property values in the area are going up simultaneously by 2 or 3% a year, that's fine. That's a normal inflationary increase. But because
Right.
you renovated your home, it was worth 250,000 and now it's worth 450 because you put a pool in and you did your bathrooms and you did your kitchen. We shouldn't be able to double your taxes because of
Totally agree.
that.
That does not help us in our industry.
Yes, yes. Let's hope we can, have our politicians hear that and maybe fight for their citizens on that part. I know
Yes,
that DeSantis is
exactly.
fighting for us in the homeowners taxes. He thinks it's a bogus tax that shouldn't be on the homeowners. And
Yeah.
I come from a country, I come from Hungary, where we don't have property taxes, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
and we have old people still living in their homes that they bought, 50 to
Mm.
whatever, it's family home, been passed down or what,
Yeah.
and they don't have to pay taxes and they can stay in their homes with their small, social payouts because they can afford it, but
Yeah.
here, and I always say this, here in America, you get a homeowner that, kids are out, he has a 5 bedroom, he's paying 15 grand, he retires, and they keep raising the taxes. And now he gets priced out because he's on a fixed income and he can't afford that anymore. And when he sells, guess what? He can't really downsize to a lot better. It's probably going to be about the same, half the size home,
Right.
because when you buy a new home, your taxes go up. So
Yeah.
it's
I
like this spiral where
I
people
know.
get injured or hurt in a way, not injured, but hurt financially.
Yeah,
Sorry, I could
absolutely.
fumble about that for a long time. I'm in real estate, so
Well,
that's one of
hopefully
my
they'll
pets.
decrease the taxes.
Decrease the taxes.
Yes.
Yes. Now we've talked about process and mistakes. Let's talk about the art because Elizabeth, you have a very specific philosophy about what gives a home its soul. Why do so many technically beautiful and expensive homes feel like they have absolutely no soul? And how do you solve that?
So I love to infuse specific items tailored to the family and the homeowner. So if you love to travel, you know, let's have some of your memories for your trip. Whenever I travel, I always bring stuff back, whether it's a decorative piece of art or, a little object I can put on my foyer table. Like it's a collection of your life and where you've been and, what makes you happy. So it's things that are personal to you, whether it's art on the walls or, pictures or little objects that you've collected on your travels. I don't want it to look like a showroom. I don't want it to look like everyone else's house. I don't want it to just look like a generic model home. And while they're beautiful, they are meant to appeal to everyone, right? When it's your home, we want it to be personal to you. Like I've worked with clients, my client had his own art collection that was, you know, super personal to him. Other people may not like it. It may not be their style, but it's for his home. So we designed a lot of rooms around his amazing art collection. I love to infuse, vintage or antique pieces, make it, eclectic. I infuse different styles to make it feel timeless as opposed to just a modern home or a super contemporary home because I feel like that will look dated. I like to mix different styles together.
Yeah, I mean, you're known for layering color, pattern, and texture. How do you balance bold elements so the space feels timeless rather than chaotic?
So
Is there a rule of thumb, a ratio, or principle? What's the most common, mistake when people try to be bold?
I think you have to select items that coordinate together. They don't have to match per se, but maybe they have similar tones or you pick up, a certain color, whether it's, wallpaper. I love using wallpaper as an element. I love to add different textures, so different types of material, right? So maybe we have a room, we have something in leather, we have something in fabric, maybe we have a velvet. Even if you don't like bold colors, you can definitely get that same soulful feel by incorporating different textures.
Got you. That's awesome. I mean, I like using wood a lot.
Mhm.
It's sort of mid-century modern in my opinion, but
Yeah,
I like the golden brassy metals.
yeah.
I like the wood, the natural wood tone slats
Mhm.
on the walls that give
Yep.
it definition instead of a flat wall. I'm not so keen on like textured walls by per se, like
Mhm.
orange peel, etc. But it's so expensive to get flat. A level five finish is so much work. It's insane. But that's
Yeah.
what I like level five, and then
Mhm.
adding elements to that, to give it dimension.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even just mixing your hard finishes, having marble, incorporating wood, mixing metals, things like that, and having a designer that can put it together for you in an interesting way that is not chaotic and looks timeless.
I like that. I like that. For homeowners listening who want to elevate their space today, how can someone make their home feel more luxurious without spending a fortune? Give us three things someone can do this weekend that would elevate their home.
Paint is an easy option that doesn't cost a lot of money. Sometimes, just changing the color of your wall or color drenching, having your walls and your ceiling all the same color.
I do that a lot
Do
nowadays.
you?
Yes,
It's
I do. I sell that to every single one of my clients. It's like, guys, but we go with really light, less impactful colors down
Yeah,
low. But I tell them it is insanely cool looking when you're
yeah.
sealing. We like this color. It's like it's not a cream. It's like
Okay.
there's something around there. And then walls and ceilings the same. So
Mhm.
instead of white and some color on the wall, the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And your molding trim does not have to be bright white.
Okay, I haven't played around with that yet. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
But it doesn't have to be bright white. It could be depending, you can paint it the same color as your wall color.
Okay, to
Do you know what
like
I
blend
mean?
in with the room.
Yeah, exactly. You can, if you have blue wall, let's say you have like light blue walls, the trim doesn't have to be white. It could be maybe a deeper blue. You can play with color. I have some molding in my house painted black. I have my doors painted black instead of white. So there's so many options with color, and a can of paint will literally transform your space.
Oh, for sure, I
And even
agree.
the finish.
Yeah.
A lot of builders like to use a flat finish. I do not like flat finish because it's hard to clean. And I just feel like I like a little bit of a sheen, even if it's just an eggshell. To me, it looks more luxurious. So, sometimes changing the sheen on the paint that you're using. You can color drench, but have your walls a different sheen than your ceiling.
So I've noticed that I bought this paint. I want your opinion on it. Home Depot, okay, Bear is Home Depot, I know, but the matte from their Dynasty line is
Hmm.
incredibly cool paint, by the way. We painted with that. Whenever
Okay.
you're trying to, you're pulling your lines straight with freehand, no tape, because that's usually how we paint nowadays,
Yeah.
or the better painters. It's amazing. It keeps the line. It doesn't seep in, it doesn't seep through, and it's also washable, but still
Hmm.
flat. So
Yeah.
it gives you like that luxury feel of flat, but it is like an eggshell basically. 'Cause
Yeah.
I
The
use
washable
eggshells.
is key.
Yeah, I use eggshells and stuff like that in my rentals
Yeah.
because you don't want to repaint a rental every single time. You just want to go and clean
Exactly.
it. But my wife likes flat. For some
Mhm.
reason, she's all over the flat. It looks great if you get the right quality paint. So spending that
Exactly.
extra, $20-$30 per gallon on that, it's not cheap. It's not cheaper a lot. It's more
Right.
expensive.
Yes.
But getting that look of the expensive, I think that's a big impact. I wouldn't do it in every home, but I would do it in my own home, which I did.
Yeah. No, definitely. I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're designing a home, hey, I like flat walls for a reason. I don't like shiny,
Yeah.
walls. And, when you go to, eggshell satin and et cetera, gloss, you're like,
Hmm.
gloss. Why would you use gloss? Bathrooms. You use gloss in bathrooms because it's moisture wicking. So it
Right.
helps with not sucking in the water, et cetera, et cetera. More elasticity in the paint, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I agree with you. Paint is a really good one. And I think it's the highest impact, lowest cost.
Definitely.
Thank you for agreeing with
Yeah, no,
that.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Elizabeth, let's zoom out. Big picture time. You're stepping into a leadership role now, and I want to know where this industry is headed. You're stepping onto the board of the Collier Building Industry Foundation. What changes are you hoping to advocate for in the local building sector? What's broken in the builder designer relationship right now?
I think, really being more collaborative as an industry whole is something that we definitely strive to do. Everyone kind of being on the same page, having the same, ultimately we want the same results, right? We have the same vision for the end goal, working together, collaborating. And also, another important part of being on this foundation is really getting to the high school kids and the college kids and young people to get into the construction industry. So we really advocate for that and showing them what's possible, the different roles that there are within the industry, getting more females into the building industry.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, I watch a lot of reels with girl contractors in it, and watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was HGTV. There was a girl builder in Detroit, I think, and she
Oh,
was like
yeah.
a beast. I was like, that's awesome, like
Yeah.
tool belt. I'm like, the tool belt weighs more than the girl, but she was out there killing it, and I was like, that's really cool. That's really cool to see that. I mean, I wouldn't say that a girl should be doing concrete work or lifting big blocks in their places, but there are areas in our industry where we can use a really nice, solid set of hands and eyes instead of a man's roughness. I'll agree with that all day, every day.
Absolutely.
Last question. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had something?
No, I was just going to say, like the trades, we need more trades,
Oh, yeah.
especially mill workers and cabinetry. A lot of these trades are kind of dying, real old school wallpaper installers. There's so many different areas that people can get into, and the money is there to be made, which I don't think a lot of young people realize.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I don't think I've seen a painting school. Where I come from, painters go to school for painting.
Mm-hmm.
And legit, wallpaper and painting is a painter's job. A lot of painters don't do wallpaper. They don't understand it. They don't know what it
They don't know
involves.
how.
And I remember when I was a kid and we were building our houses in Hungary that our painter was doing our wallpapers too, and
Yeah.
they do the cutting, they do everything else in the house as well that on surface comes along with his profession. And they go to school for quite a while to become a painter because it
Yeah.
is an art. And there's
Yeah.
different, and in Hungary, I think there's 3 levels to a painter.
Oh, wow.
So it's not
Yeah.
just do you have your everyday worker painter that just
Mhm.
rolls the wall kind of deal? Then you got your secondary grade painter that can do most of the stuff, and you got master painters that do artwork on the wall, not just flat paint on the wall, but they'll do
Decorative
mural.
finishes and
Yes,
yeah,
correct. So there's 3 levers to that, and it's not you don't have to go to college, but it
right.
is a degree kind of that you get, you
Yeah.
know. And I think it's important because you can make a killing with that if you're in the right time in the right place, for sure. Painters
Absolutely.
make money.
Especially where I am in Southwest Florida here in Naples, there is a huge demand for those specialties.
Yeah, because you have fancy houses that
Yeah,
require a good
exactly.
cut, a good paint, a
Yeah.
mural,
I had
etc.
a painter that painted gold metallic walls in my client's office.
Oh, that's
But to
awesome.
know how to get like that finish,
How to mix your
that's
paints on site instead of
yeah,
going to the SW and, hey, I would like a paint, and can you make
yeah.
this for me? No, a lot of these painters know how to mix on site about,
Mhm.
this much white, this much black, mustard, etc. to get that color that you're looking
Exactly.
for. Last question. I know we're running out of time here. Beyond the awards and beautiful aesthetics, what is the ultimate emotional legacy you want to leave with every client when they walk through their newly designed front door?
I want them to absolutely love it so much that they never want to leave.
Elizabeth, this conversation reminded me of something we don't talk about enough on this show, the feeling of a home. We talk about mortgages, insurance, warranties, closing costs, all the mechanics to a real estate transaction. But Elizabeth just showed us that the most important investment might be what happens after you get the keys or before you build your home. How the space you live in every single day shapes who you are, and how you live. If you're building, renovating, or even just looking at your living room thinking something's off, go find Elizabeth. Elizabeth Cinquini Interiors, elizabethcinquini.com. All the links are in the show notes below. Subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's about to renovate and doesn't know where to start. This has been Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable. Until the next time, go build your kingdom. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.